The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello, good day to everyone, and welcome to The Art Beat on KLZK FM 105.7. I'm your host, Peter Martins, coming to you from the Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech. And I am really happy to be talking today with one of my colleagues from the School of Music, Professor David Dees, who is the saxophone professor at Texas Tech. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, just fine. It's a little windy and whatever, but we're getting to spring, right?
Oh yeah,
eventually. So talking to David today, we haven't talked to him before on the program, and it's always good to talk to individual people from studios and areas and all of the schools in the Talkington College. But we have kind of a special treat coming up this coming week at the end of the week with some former students, some alums coming back who have kind of made good, I guess I would say. And this is coming from Professor Dees' very kind of rich tradition that we'll ask him about a bit of putting together quartets of saxophone players. So tell us about the quartet that's visiting at the end of the week here.
This quartet is the Aruna Quartet, and they'll be doing a recital in the Hance Chapel next Friday. I think that's February 27th at 6 p.m.
Right.
And they're also playing on the Vesper series at First United Methodist Church on Sunday at 5.
Okay, so if you can't make it to the Friday evening concert, you can catch the same program, I'm guessing, at FUMC on Sunday evening. That's great. And if you haven't been to Hance Chapel, it's really I think it's a wonderful space for small kind of chamber music like this.
It is.
Really works
it's
well.
Fine.
Good acoustics and good parking as well on a Friday evening. Easier than the School of Music oftentimes, I think. Yeah. Okay, so the Aruna Quartet, these are all alums. First of all, I want to kind of go up to the 20,000-foot view. What's the deal with saxophone quartets? Why quartets?
It might be that they're inspired by string quartets.
Okay.
I think that Marcel Mule, who was the professor of saxophone at the Paris Conservatory, starting in 1944 or 45, formed a quartet, and it's sort of set up like a string quartet.
Okay.
Soprano,
okay.
alto, tenor, bari sax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all those different saxophones. Now, I guess in a string quartet, you've got two violins, but one is kind of playing soprano,
Right.
one's playing alto, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and all of these instruments are in the same family, obviously.
They
right?
are.
Were they all invented by the original guy, Adolf Sax?
Yes. He
Okay.
invented all of those. And we also have, beyond the quartet instrumentation, we have sopranino, which is a smaller saxophone than soprano, and then we have a bass sax also that's lower than bari sax.
Okay. So is the kind of the top player registrally always on a soprano sax, or are there sometimes two altos at the top there?
There are some quartets that are written for things like 4 altos.
Okay.
There's even a quartet that's written for 4 baris. So there's some mixed instrumentation. And Aruna plays a piece that is for 4 sopranos.
Oh, wow.
At Fishoff, the year they won, they played a piece for 4 sopranos called Mysterious Morning. So
I guess that in my imagination, at least, that fits 4 soprano saxophones.
Yeah. There was a lot of noodling in it.
Okay, and you point out that an interesting difference between a saxophone quartet, let's say, and a string quartet, that I don't really think that there's a lot of repertoire for string quartet where the cellist has to pick up a violin.
Right. Yeah.
But saxophones are more, I guess, homogeneous as far as playing technique and knowledge of the instrument?
Yeah, the technique is very similar. The embouchure is different. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but most saxophone players play 2 or 3, or in some cases all 4 saxes, all 4 of the main saxes.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
No, that's interesting. That obviously gives composers a little bit more timbral, whatever, options in there. Huh, okay. So I guess the Aruna, then, they're mostly following the standard instrumentation of soprano, alto, tenor, bass, as far
for the most
bari.
Yeah. For the most
sax.
part, most of their rep is for SATB. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And B being baritone sax, not bass sax,
Right,
as we might
right.
think of, right? Because bass sax is a little
It's bigger. Yeah. It's
unwieldy, maybe.
it's a beast.
Interesting. All right. So tell us a little bit about the background of the quartet itself. Aruna, I don't know if you know where the name came from, but when did this quartet come into existence at Texas Tech?
They formed about, it was probably about 10 years ago. And Will Pyle, the current soprano player, was a freshman. And
undergrad.
Tony and Ryan were sophomores, and they had a different bari player. And so the first year that they were here, they got into Fish-Off, which was pretty amazing.
And if listeners don't know, the Fish-Off is kind of the top chamber music competition in the U.S. Is that fair to say?
It is, yeah. It's generally known as the largest and most prestigious chamber music competition in the world.
Okay, and they got in there. There's some sort of pre-competition rounds, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they send in a recording, and at the time it was 20-minute recording, and they picked 12 wind groups from there's probably 50 wind recordings, so it's very hard to get into.
Wow, so this bunch of undergrad saxophone players got into Fish-Off their first try.
Yeah.
Wow, how about that? Okay, and then I guess it went from there.
Yeah, so they got in again the second year, and then they advanced. There's 3 rounds in the live rounds of Fish-Off. The second year they advanced to the second round, and then the third year they advanced to the finals and won the gold medal, and then won the grand prize. And so it was very, very exciting, and they've been super successful musically and professionally. So.
Well, it's a great story. Obviously, it's wonderful to hear the success of hometown groups in these large international and national scenes. And I might ask the question, if I didn't already know the answer, that, gosh, is that the first time a saxophone quartet has won the Fish-Off Gold Prize?
We did have another one about 3 or 4 years prior to that, called the Mirasol Quartet. And I was thinking about when Aruna were students here, I think I kind of took them for granted in a way because they were so easy to work with. But that was what I had kind of gotten used to also with the Mirasol Quartet. They were also super easy to work with. We just would work really fast, and there would never be any kind of distractions, and we had fun, and it was kind of a luxury, I think.
Huh.
So
and it wasn't your first rodeo with that kind of experience, so you maybe didn't notice how special it was at the time. Huh?
Right. Yeah. It was,
Interesting.
It was really neat. So.
Okay. So the Mirasol Quartet, then, to go back a couple years in your own studio, they also won the Fish-Off?
They did, yeah. They won the gold medal. They didn't win the grand prize.
Okay. So, all right. So Aruna did one, the only notch better you could do. Huh?
Yeah. It was pretty neat.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously that's very remarkable, and it speaks to these sorts of things you read in like Malcolm Gladwell's work on like outliers and stuff. Like how does one little island nation have the top Little League baseball team consistently year after year, right? These sorts of things. How does the Texas Tech Saxophone Studio have top performing saxophone quartets for a long span of time here?
I think with both the Mirasol Quartet and the Aruna Quartet, these are just real special groups of people. I think that the Aruna Quartet is a group that really understood the value and the importance of being able to get along.
On a personal level.
Yeah,
Okay.
and not only get along, but work effectively, sort of on their own on music. And I think the 4 of them have always gotten along really well and worked really well together. And I also think that the 5 of us worked really well together. When we were together.
Sure. That's important.
Yeah, and it was the same with Mirasol Quartet. Like I said, they were just really sort of special groups of people, and they were super easy to work with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine once you have those examples in a studio, right, and they're juniors and seniors, and then you have the freshmen and sophomores coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
They see how it works.
Yeah.
There's a little DNA maybe that's developed there in the studio.
I think the students that come in are more inspired by former students or groups that are made up of recent graduates or groups that are in the studio, maybe so than professional guest artists.
Interesting.
Okay. I think it makes a real impact on the students that come in. I've seen it.
Yeah. They have that kind of personal access day after day, I suppose, in the context of the studio. All right. So how about your own background here? Now, did you have a lot of quartet experience before you started kind of doing this thing in your own studio?
Yeah, I've always, I think as an undergrad and in grad school and beyond grad school, I've always liked playing in quartets. I've played in many of them. And I think like most people, I would say that I've probably learned more playing in quartets than I have in any other sort of musical activity, even like solo playing or anything else. Because you learn how to play in tune, you learn how to blend and balance, you learn how to talk about music, and you learn how to lead and follow at the same time.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yes. And I'm certainly a fan of chamber music, playing in brass quintets quite a bit. It is some of my most favorite performance, whatever experiences.
Yeah, if you're in a group that stays together, for a couple, even I think Aruna's been together for like 7 years, or 8 or 9 years maybe. But if you have a group that stays together long enough to gel, it becomes a real special thing.
Sure. And I'm sure our audience here is aware of famous string quartets, right, where the names persist even if the personnel changes a little bit over the years, and that it seems like the quartet itself becomes kind of almost its own living organism, and you can kind of take pieces in and out over the years as people age out or whatever. The ideals and the whatever work ethic.
Like the Juilliard String Quartet or something.
Sure. Exactly. So are there in the world saxophone quartets that have that sort of legacy?
I think most of the quartets have the same personnel for the most part. I think some of the quartets that I know have had some changes, some of the groups that have been together for a long time. Mm-hmm. But we don't have like the Juilliard String Quartet or anything like that. Anything that with that kind of super long tradition,
Is that just because saxophone quartets are kind of relatively new relative to string quartets, or is are saxophonists like each other better than string players do?
I think it's that we like each other more.
Okay.
No, I think that's a hard one to answer. But I don't think that the quartets tend to reform. Like I know the Juilliard String Quartet has, I think, four completely new players now.
Sure.
At least, and I don't know how many generations that it's been going on, but we don't really do that with sax quartets.
All right. Just pick a new name, right? You're a new group.
Right,
Pick a new name.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's refreshing in and of itself. I kind of mentioned this before. Do you have any backstory on Aruna, the name, where that came from?
Yeah. It's a little bit obscure, but there's I think it's an Indian sun god named something like Surya, and Aruna is the charioteer. So I believe that Aruna is the one driving the chariot.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it was fun. It was interesting because we all went to the Asia Pacific Saxophone Academy in Bangkok, and the university where the concert was held had a big statue of Aruna.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On campus.
I imagine there's a few photos of the group.
There is a few photos. Yeah. So.
Excellent. Okay, well, good. Thank you. That's that's not a backstory I've ever heard about the group. So, and I imagine you're putting together a new quartet. There's a fair amount of process of elimination when you're picking a new name, right? Because there's a lot of quartets and a lot of names are probably taken.
Yeah,
so
they are.
You have to get creative.
Yeah, you have to look around. So
yeah, they didn't go with the Dees quartet though.
No.
Okay,
no.
All right. Well, there's one left for the future, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, gosh, our time's flown by. Professor David Dees, I want to thank you for coming and talking with me about the Aruna Quartet who's visiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to remind people, 6 p.m. Friday, February 27th in Hans Chapel. Yep. And then if you missed that, at First United Methodist on Sunday evening at, I believe, 5 p.m. is when those Vesper concerts are. So
it's at 5.
And that's, I think, probably in both settings, there's nice opportunities afterwards to meet the performers, talk to them.
For sure.
If you maybe happen to get to know them during their student years at Texas Tech, might be a good time to reconnect with them. And certainly look forward to hearing their music.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much, and we will see you again next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye. The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.